Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. I think I've talked about the British Army knife a couple times. This is the three-piece clasp knife by the British Army. This is a civilian version of it. This is one of the modern civilian versions of it. This is what the knife looked like back in World War II. This was what the knife looked like shortly at the end of World War II, and then shortly after World War II, probably during the Korean War. It eventually evolved into this knife here. But it also has a close relative, which is the two-piece clasp knife, the British Army two-piece clasp knife, and we don't see that as often, it seems. But as you can see here, the two-piece is basically the same as the three-piece knife, with the exception of this. It doesn't have the Marlin Spike. And both of these are examples from 1943 World War II. Now, I had a couple other two-piece clasp knife. I have this one, which is from 1980, and as you can see here, this has the broad arrow on there. So this was an actual issued knife, and notice the difference here with the two-piece clasp knife. Notice nail nicks on these. Well, because of the easy open portion here, now the two-piece clasp knife does not need a nail nick. It's just pull it out. And obviously still have a nail nick on the can opener here. And the top still has the screwdriver. The only thing missing on this is the Marlin Spike, which reduces the weight of it quite a bit. And well, probably not as many soldiers need that Marlin Spike as they do just the blade and the can opener. And so this was the 1980 version. And then I also have this one here. I believe this might have been an issued knife. I don't know for certain because there's no broad arrow on there, but it does have the national stock number in there. I'm sorry, the NATO stock number in there. Notice NSN. In this case, I would say a NATO stock number because this is made by the British Army, not by the United States. The United States uses a national stock number. The NSN and the NATO stock number and the national stock number used by the United States are essentially the same number for sake of supply issues and everything. But I'm not going to go into there all over again. But notice a nice shiny blade on this one. Fairly well made. Nice pull on it too. I love the brushed finish with the wonderful polished blade. This one does have a nail nick. This one does not have a nail nick. In any case, the reason this is coming up is because, well, I've got another two-piece British Army clasp knife. But before I get to that one, let's show this one too. The one-piece clasp knife. Yeah, there was actually a one-piece. You get rid of the can opener too, and you see there. Now this is probably a civilian version, as you can see, because it says Joseph Rogers stainless steel, and again, no broad mark on there or broad arrow mark on there or anything like that. So I don't believe it was an issued knife, but the British Army did have a one-piece, a two-piece, and a three-piece clasp knife. Now, considering all of these knives, I mean the stainless steel knives here, are pretty dated when you think about it. They all really date back to World War II. I'm really not sure if they're still being used by the British Army or not anymore. I know they were still being used at least as late as 2011 because, well, 2011 is stamped on this one here, and this one, 1980, it has the issue broad arrow on there. So I'm pretty certain that those were being used in 1980 and 2011. This one, I'm not sure if it was ever truly an issued knife or if it was just something that Rogers of Sheffield came out with based off of these knives. I'm assuming that it was an issued knife though. I'm not 100% sure. But what really threw me is when this next knife I found, and I found this one on eBay, And well, I had never seen it before, never heard of it or anything else. And as you can see here, it is the genuine lock blade British Army knife made in Sheffield, England, stainless steel. And the first thing I thought of with that is, what the heck is that? I have never seen a locking British Army knife. And so I had to grab it right away. One reason I had to grab it right away is because it was up on open bidding, and this is one of those late night kind of things, and it was like time was running out, so I put in a bid, and I was lucky enough to win the knife. No one else bid on it, which started making me think, did I just buy a fake? Is there really such thing as a genuine lock blade British Army knife? Especially considering the way this is stamped, because it reminded me very much of a civilian issued knife, or a civilian version of a British Army knife. And maybe somebody decided to take the British Army knife, the two-piece, and added a lock blade into it, or a lock back to it, but it was never officially recognized as a knife for the British Army or something like that. But in any case, all that was going through my mind when I bought it, but I bought it anyway, and thought I would look into more details on it after the fact. And well, after the fact, I started looking around trying to find a video on this, and I could not really find one. I saw one video talking about this, but that video had so many errors when talking about British Army knives that I could not take it as you know, an informative video. Basically, you know, if the video, if they can't get information about this knife correct or these knives correct, then it's kind of hard for me to accept whatever they're saying about this knife. But in any case, after looking around a little harder, I did find out a little bit about this knife. And apparently they were made by the Egginton group, or the Egginton brothers. You will see a couple different versions of these knives. And they were first made in the late 1990s, and it was in response to the fact that this is not a locking knife. And apparently they were making these side by side with the non-locking versions. So the non-locking versions were still being made. But as early as like 1995, 1996, somewhere around there, they started making a locking version of the two-piece knife, and this is it. Now this one is marked genuine lock blade British Army knife, and so I do believe that this is a civilian version of the genuine British Army knife. It is not truly the way it would be marked. And I've seen a version that has the mark 2009. It does have the NATO stock number on it, and it also says oil the joints, just like this one does, stamped into the handle. This one obviously does not say oil the joints on there, but the it looks like the issued one does actually say that. And the interesting thing is the issued version of the knife that I saw has this etch on the blade, the Rogers stainless steel etch on the blade. So that's also kind of interesting, because this one lacks that etch on the blade. This one just says on the back side here, Sheffield, England. It's just stamped in there. And then you have the can opener over here. And notice also this does not have a blade pull on it, a nail nick into the blade. Apparently it's made both ways, just like these knives here. Some of them you will have with a nail nick, some without a nail nick. So this one does not have a nail nick. This one does have a nail nick. And you'll see the same thing with the ones coming out of Egginton Brothers, which is, you know, the company that has the Rogers trademark and so many other ones. So Eckington Brothers is making these knives for the Ministry of Defense, and they are also producing a version for the public, or the civilian version. Now, this obviously was probably made for the civilian market, but it must have been made a while back for the civilian market because, well, you can't make a lockback. Well, I guess you could still make a lockback knife in the for the civilian market in Britain, but they wouldn't be able to carry it, so that would not make a lot of sense to me. But for the British Army, a lockback knife would be fine. It would be an issued knife, and so that would happen. If they need the lockback knife, then they would have the lockback knife. But anyway, so how well does this work? Well, first of all, one thing I noticed right away is the bail, or the clevis on the back here for the lanyard. It is very tight. It does not move around too well like these do. This one is pretty tight too. This one flops around a bit, and because it flops around, you can have the blade hit it. This one, it's tight. You're going to have to actually push it in the way, and it's not easy to get down there to get it in the way. So that's a good thing. And that is obviously for your paracord or some kind of lanyard or something of that nature. As you notice, it is a locking blade. The blade locks, and when it is locked, there is no wobble in the blade at all. However, if you push on it, you will see that it gives a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. I don't know if that's the case on all of them or not, but this particular one has a little bit of give on it, but the lock does hold. If you notice the lock, there's a definite gap there, so you can definitely feel where that the lock is, but it feels okay. You're not catching on it or anything like that. The back spring is strong enough so that it does hold the blade down, but it also is pretty easy to open, and the lock definitely works, so that's pretty cool. And then the can opener, big can opener, and it looks a little bit different than the other can openers on the other two-piece knives here, as you can see here. This is the one from 1980. You can see a distinct difference in the cutting portion of the blade here. This, it does have a bit of an edge, but not much. And here's the other one. Again, a little more, well, this is not as sharp as this one, to be honest with you. This one has a better cutting edge than this one. But it does, and also, yeah, a little thicker, but it thins out pretty nicely at the end there. Notice it is definitely a different can opener. This one was made in 2011. I don't know when this knife was made. I'm assuming it was made, if it was made for the civilian market, it was probably made before they started banning lock blades. I could be wrong. They might still be making this even for the civilian market, as far as I know, because if nothing else, for the export market, maybe for Canada and so on and so forth. In any case, the can opener is a really big can opener. It does have a little bit of play, but not much. The spring is strong enough on it, but it's not as strong as the springs that you have on these older ones. And because of the size of the can opener, you can use it to break shackles open if you need to, which is a good thing too. And you can also use it to close up a shackle, tighten it up if you need to. So not a bad little thing there. So if you don't have the Marlin Spike, you can at least loosen and tighten shackles with this. Oops, wrong way. As long as you're turning it the right way. But in any case, I was kind of surprised by it. really nice little knife. Same size as the older two-piece knives. Well, older two-piece knives. And see there, it's got the, I think it's a 3 3/4 inch frame. I think that's what it is. Let me check here. The frame itself, yeah, the frame itself is right at 3 3/4 inches. Overall length with the screwdriver tip there comes out right at 4 inches or so, something like that. Yeah, right at 4 inches, maybe 3 7/8 inches with the screwdriver tip. And all of that is the same as what you have on the other two-piece knives that I have here too. So it does appear that the British Army finally got around to putting a lock on the two-piece knife. Obviously, can't do that as easily with the three-piece knives because you have a big old honking Marlin Spike on the back here, and that works off of both springs. So the only way you would actually be able to put a lock on a three-piece here would be to make it a liner lock. And quite frankly, I'm not sure how well the liner lock would work on there, especially with the can opener in the way. So it'd be pretty tricky to put a lock on the main blade on the three-piece knife. But they did go ahead and do it on the two-piece. So in any case, I was kind of impressed with this. I really had never seen it before, did not know it existed. I don't know if it is still in use today or not, considering, you know, all of the action in Afghanistan and a little bit of action in Iraq and everything else. A lot of different knives entered service with the American Army. I'm assuming similar things happen with the British Army, but maybe this is still in use. And if it is the latest update to a knife that predates World War II. In any case, with that said, I will let you go and stick around for the slides, which will give you a little bit more information on this knife. Thanks for watching. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.